Today's topic we are going to consider is the test data. Then we are going to consider the test cases and the test suite, right? So here, if you can see, let me zoom this so that you can have a clear picture. First is test case. We have already seen we have different types of testing, we have different levels of testing, but you must have heard of the term test case. What are these test cases? These test cases are what? The test cases, first of all, are the ones which describes an input and describes an expected output. That means it is a triplet form which defines you are giving a specific input for which you should get a specific output. So here you can say the triplet is ISO. I stands for the data input to the system. S is the state of the system at which the data is input, and O is the expected output of the system, right? So test cases describes an input description and an expected output description. If you remember the earlier lecture of mine, in which we were doing the let's say partitioning testing, equivalence partitioning testing. So in equivalence partitioning testing, what was our test case? Our test case was which was related to the term that you have a range of 1 to 99, let's say. So you have to take valid input plus you have to take an invalid input. So when you are taking a valid input for 1 to 99, it can be 33, right? So that is an invalid input. And what should be the output for that particular, that is taken into consideration. Other thing, we generate one more test case in which we take different input that can be an invalid input. Let's say that is -4 because the range is from 1 to 99. So here you can see that this is the difference in the point that we generate different test cases to test the code rigorously, right? So that there are no errors left. Next, after the test case, you have a terminology that is called as test suite. What is this? A set of all test cases with which a software product is tested is called a test suite. That means when we have a normal range of test cases, different types of test cases, and that particular set of different test cases is called as the test suite, which we are using to test the software product, right? So that is what we have in here. Next thing, a good test case has a high probability of finding an error, and hence the same goes with the test suite. As we say that a test case should have a high probability of finding error, then the same goes to the test suite, because test suite is nothing different. It is just a collection of test cases. So test suite should also have the high probability of finding the errors. Next point we may have a test suite of effective or good test cases. So this is simple. We may have a test suite of all possible test cases. That means, first of all, we should take care that all the good test cases we should consider for the effective testing. And second thing, the test cases we are generating should cover all the possible test cases in a specific test suite. Hence, any combination of test cases may generate a test suite. That means any specific test cases you can take which are of various point. It is also covering the equivalence partitioning, it is also covering the boundary value analysis, it is also covering the robust testing. So that has a variation of test cases which are set together in a specific test suite, and this test suite is used to test the complete software product so that you can uncover all the possible errors, right? Moving further, we have already seen that there are two main approaches of testing, which are black box testing and white box testing. So we have to design the test cases according to these different types of black box testing and white box testing, as I have just taken an example of equivalence partitioning. That is what? That is a black box testing. That is a type of black box testing. And what are the different types of white box testing? You have like branch coverage testing, decision coverage testing, statement coverage testing, and you have path coverage testing. right? And black box testing, you have boundary value analysis, equivalence partitioning, robust testing, etc. Now, the question arises, who should do the testing? So this we have already seen that for the white box testing, who is the main person who can test the code very well? Then we say that developers are the right person, are the right people to test the source code at the unit level. That means unit testing is done by the developers, and integration testing is also done by the software developers, because they have the complete knowledge of the source code. And further testings, example, system testing and acceptance testing are done by the software developers and also by the users. This we have already seen, right? Now, next thing is, what should we test for? So we have already seen this particular part. We have seen different terminologies like errors, bugs, failure, and fault. So these were already taken into consideration and I have already taught you in the earlier lectures. Now we have software testing strategies. We have different strategies of software testing. What are these? First is called as static testing strategy. The main static means the one which is not changing with time, that remains the same. Right? So static testing means that the analysis of the program is performed with executing them. A static analyzer operates from pre-computed database of descriptive information derived from the test of the program. Now, this static testing strategy has to be done in which we are going to analyze the program when it is being executed, right? So various software testing strategies are, first one, it is called as FTR, that is formal technical review. Now, formal technical review is also given in the abbreviation as FTR. What happens in FTR? FTR is just a review in which a team of qualified person examine the suitability of a software product for its intended use and identifies any conspiracy between specifications and the standards. That means we or the team is a team in which there are qualified persons who are the members who can examine the suitability of the product that we have built, right? And what is their intention? Their intention is to use and to specify and to find out whether all these specifications and standards are being met or not, right, in the application. It can be conducted at any stage of the software development lifecycle. It does not have any specific time. It is done many times at different stages of the software development lifecycle, which is decided by the team itself, right? Now, what is the purpose of this review? The purpose is to minimize the defect ratio as early as possible in SDLC. Why as early as possible? We have seen this many times. As early as possible because the error which is detected at early stage will not have a higher maintenance cost. If it is detected at the later stage, it will have higher maintenance cost and it can lead to a failure or fault in the software that is not acceptable by the user. Next, review can be formal or informal. So I cannot state that FTR is a formal review or an informal review. Right? Informal reviews are referred as walkthrough, and FTR is actually a class of reviews that includes walkthrough, code inspection, round robin review, and other small group technical assessment of software. Now you see, whatever the name you can just seeing here, walkthrough, code inspection, round robin review, FTR, all these are what? These are simple reviews. These are not very, technical detailing testing in which we have generated the test cases. No, it is just a team who is going to analyze and review the software or the part of software so that you can find out whether all the specifications or standards are being met by the developers and the testers or not, right? So it is, you can say it is a technical assessment of the software. Now, Objective of FTR, we have generalized it as to say that it is used to uncover any type of testing or review is done to uncover the errors in function, logic, or implementation of any representation of the software. Second thing, to verify that the software under review meets its requirement. That means all the user requirements should be met. That is why I'm saying it is checking on two main purposes, that is at the specification and for the standards. So specification are the requirements only. To ensure that the software is developed in a uniform manner, to make project more manageable. So more manageable in the terms of like it should meet or it should follow the criteria of the budget of the software which is being defined and the time limit of the software which is to be delivered at time. To ensure that the software has been represented according to predefined standards. So it has to make sure that standards, that means quality standards, are also being met by the team.